my name is Attorney Walter Wolfnaut III with Disability Resolution PA. So how many people are actually paying into these trust funds, or at least what do we have as per the actuarial reports from 2020, straight from the SSA sources of trust fund income? During 2020, an estimated 175 million workers had earnings covered by Social Security and paid payroll taxes. So what's interesting about this is that there's 175 million workers paying into these programs. There's 65 million people that are receiving benefits from these programs. So what doesn't really make a lot of sense to me is how 175 million workers paying in is not able to fund the 65 million people that are taking. Now, it does make sense that the amounts that these 175 million people are paying in are much smaller amounts per month than the people who are taking, right? The people that are taking, they're getting their $1,000 or $2,000 in benefits. Could be less, could be more, etc. But the people that are paying in, let's read this. Okay, employees pay a 6.2% contribution from earnings up to the maximum of $142,800 in 2021, which their employers match. So when a lot of people are like, oh, I had to pay 6.2, yada, yada, yada. Well, not really. You were really paying double that. So essentially 12.4. The other half came from your employer. They sell it as, oh, well, half this other 6.2 comes from your employer, and this 6.2 comes from you. But that's just a BS way of putting it. The way you should think about it is, instead of them giving me that extra 6.2% of my salary for that, or hourly wage for that 1 week, 2 week, 1 month period, I'm paying essentially 12.4% of my earnings to this program. So, I know that when you hear that, it might infuriate you. It does for me every time I have to process payroll. Employees pay a 6.2% contribution from earnings up to a maximum of $142,800 in 2021, which their employers match. Self-employed workers pay both shares of the contribution, or 12.4%. Generally, more than 40% of current beneficiaries pay income taxes on part of their benefits. Generally, more than 40% of current beneficiaries pay income tax on part of their benefits. And those taxes go to the SSDI trust funds, that's the retirement and the disability insurance trust funds, and Medicare's hospital insurance trust fund. The trust funds also earn interest, which the government quasi-invests it and then has to pull it each year. It's not like they're really doing magic here. $76 billion in 2020 for the combined OASDI trust funds on their accumulated reserves. All right, so what are we talking about here? What we're talking about is essentially people paying a significant amount of taxes, 175 million people paying a significant amount of taxes, and the programs are still running dry. Now, I just want to point out to you guys something. If the politicians meant to run America properly, let's assume we didn't have any of the politicians we do right now. Let's just assume we threw every single one of them out. Let's assume for a moment that we had an all-star team, the Avengers team, the great team of politicians. And they intended for the American people to essentially be covered financially if they became disabled, and covered when they retire, right? These are two fundamental things. They can't work, we're going to help them. They're retired, they've old aged out, we're going to help them. Now imagine if they had properly invested back into those trust funds in a relatively significant amount. We could get that 12.4 down to something like 1%. Why is that? Because a lot of the investments we could have made down the line, investing U.S. funds into U.S. companies that are doing really well, investing and basically going ahead and doing what Wall Street has been doing since Wall Street's existed, being successful at making money while having money. Except there's a difference here. The U.S. government doesn't just have money. They have hyper massive amounts of money. When you hear the word trillion, there's very few companies that live in that world. Very few. But the government lives in the word trillion in many categories of its dealings. So what does that mean? It means that since they've had these trillions, they have invested poorly as a United States government, which resulted in now our trust funds seeing depletion dates unless legislation occurs to tax the American people more. Think about that for a moment. What if they had done their job and invested the funds properly throughout the years? I'm not talking about brand new technology that's never been tested and here we go, and then all of a sudden we sell off those corporations to China. I'm not talking about that stuff. We did that with not the prior presidency, but the presidency before that. That's what happened. A lot of those green new companies, solar power companies, wow, here we go companies. Yeah, a lot of those, most of them went out of business. One of them was sold to China, which was one of the few successful ones. So what I'd like you to do is take a moment and imagine what you think are great leadership skills that are required by politicians to successfully navigate assisting future Americans in having security in the sense of old age, disability insurance, and also SSI and auxiliary benefits related to those output by the Social Security Administration. And here's why. Oh, some of you guys be like, I don't care. You don't care until you're disabled and you can't work anymore. Some of you guys, I put a bunch of money aside. I'm in a good spot. I feel pretty good. I'm getting my pension. I'm getting my this. I got my that. I got my investments. I got my nest egg. That's cool. But not everybody had the same setup you did, or the same opportunities that you did, or the work ethic that you did. Everybody should have a baseline that they can at least rely on to exist. Above that, we should make it so that people can compete to do great things. That's America. America is innovation through small business capitalism. Well, we don't have that in America now. We have monopoly capitalism. Lowe's, Home Depot, monopolies, right? Walmart, Publix, monopolies, right? Amazon, something else, monopolies, right? Here's the thing. We can make things be competitive, but if all these small companies keep going out of business because they keep either getting killed off or purchased up by larger companies, all we end up with are super mega companies. And the only way to control that and still compete against the international market is to tax things that are coming from international markets and make products be made in America, innovated in America, assembled in America, because that means we've got jobs. If we don't have jobs, we can't pay taxes to afford benefits like retirement benefits and survivor's benefits. And we're going to do a video, and I know a lot of you guys talk about it. We are going to be doing a video when the government borrowed but never put back Social Security funds. We are going to be going into that. Okay. My name is Attorney Walter Knott. Have an absolutely wonderful night. Remember, 8 to 10 every Thursday I go live. Hopefully I'll be able to walk you through something that you have a question on, and we'll go from there. I go live on YouTube Eastern Standard Time, 8 to 10 p.m. every Thursday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.